Taoiseach, I've raised the plight of taxi drivers with you many times who were hit very hard during the pandemic. Now, taxi drivers also have a key role to play in the decarbonising of transport, and €15 million was allocated after some of the big protests by taxi drivers during the period of COVID for grants to be available to taxi drivers to get electric cars. To their disappointment and surprise, in recent weeks, they were told that the grant scheme, where only €6 million out of that €15 million has actually been used up, that they're taking no further applications. Now, that's inexplicable if we want to see the decarbonisation of the taxi fleet. Also, bizarrely, if people had committed to buy an electric vehicle that was worth more than €60,000, there would be an extension on the grant being available to you till March of next year. But if the vehicle you committed to buy was under €60,000, it wouldn't. Now, that is absolutely bizarre. And I also understand, for some inexplicable reason, SEAI grants for taxi drivers have a similar over €60,000 threshold in order to get a €2,500 grant. So you get the money if you're a rich taxi driver who can afford a very expensive electric car, but not if it's under 60,000. So can you confirm that that scheme will be reopened, that the €9 million that was not spent will be carried over to next year and there will be additional allocation, and that these arbitrary thresholds of €60,000 will be removed? And also, just to say one word on bus drivers and public transport. The bus drivers who voted against the NTA and Dublin Bus proposals for changing their routes and significantly undermining their existing working conditions are asking, have the NTA learnt anything from that vote? And in particular, do they understand that facilitating the race to the bottom, where privatised operators are undermining the conditions of bus workers in terms of their work-life balance, their hours of work, and so on, is the last direction you want to go? If you want to expand public transport, you need to protect the working conditions of bus drivers, and indeed end the privatisation of routes, because you need a public system where workers' conditions are protected and where we expand the routes available to people.
Thank you, Deputy Boyd Barrett raised the issue of taxi drivers. I don't obviously get into the nitty-gritty of the operation of every scheme, but you're saying 6 million has been taken up out of 15, is it, in respect of the electric vehicles? I think every opportunity should be given to people to take up the opportunity of availing of. Now, sometimes they put deadlines on schemes to get people to apply. Otherwise, it goes on forever, and people don't apply. Deadlines provide a catalyst to get a scheme up and running and get it moving. I'll talk to the Minister in relation to that, and also in relation to the other matters in terms of the thresholds by which a scheme is extended or not, and I'll get the background of that, because I'll see, is it as you present it? So I leave it at that, because there was other issues I spoke about earlier which weren't quite as presented yesterday, but no doubt we'll return to those another day. And also then you mentioned bus drivers more generally and working conditions. As transport develops and expands, be it through private provision, but public provision has to be expanded and developed as well, because we need more services, because we're going to have to increase public transport to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels, to over time reduce dependency on cars in cities and so on like that, and in towns. That's going to become a reality in the years to come. And as Deputy O'Sullivan said, in respect to rural Ireland, equally, bus provision. So therefore you need to have a good quality environment for workers to work in. Yeah.